Go ahead. Do what you want to do. It's your life, it's your estate plan, but it's not going to end well. Hi, this is Jeff Marsacci, the Plain English Attorney, and buckle up because this one is definitely all over the place. The twists and turns of logic and lack thereof is absolutely stunning. So this is a Reddit r/estate planning review for someone asking attorneys, why shouldn't I just do my own estate plan using a website? Thing is, the poster just doesn't like what the attorneys have to say because it's not the answer they wanted to hear. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Please give me logical reasons why not to do my trust and will online. Hi, if I have a very basic estate, can someone please give logical reasons not to use trustandwill.com? I've seen past posts with this same question, but the majority of arguments don't actually address the question. They're also very passive-aggressive, i.e., go use these online solutions because as a lawyer, we will make more money when you die since they're garbage. Here's the thing. That's not passive-aggressive. It's just absolutely true. And one thing people never, ever understand if they're not in this field, oh, my situation is simple. It may or may not be. I've also heard the opposite. Oh, look, this is a very complex situation. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if anybody can help. And it ends up, from the attorney's perspective, actually being a pretty simple thing. You don't know if you're not in the industry. If you're not an estate planner, you just don't know. So let's keep going. More specifically, it seems to me that trusts and wills follow the same legal language, so I don't understand why I need to pay a lawyer so much. For example, my parents' trust uses the same exact language as my older brother's trust, aside from the names, lists of assets, etc. It makes sense since they use the same estate lawyer, and that lawyer literally reused the same document. Well, that's like saying I should be able to work on my car on my own without any help from anybody because my parent and my brother had the same car and the mechanic used the same tools. All these documents are tools to effect an estate plan. The tools are not the plan itself. In other words, for the vast majority of trusts and wills, do they vary that much? I can't imagine that they do. Personally, my thoughts on why there is so much resistance to these online solutions is because, one, a trust plus will is something people probably do once or twice in their life, so a lot of the costs go towards the, quote, fear of getting it wrong. People think if it's just a one-time cost, they might as well get another person to help them. Two, it is also hard to measure how, quote, good a trust plus will is. If I pay a lawyer $10,000 for my trust plus will, is it 2 times better than a lawyer who would do it for $5,000? Since it's hard to measure and these online solutions are so much cheaper, there is less perceived value in them. At any rate, I'd love for a lawyer to jump in and tell me what I'm missing. Thanks. You're missing everything. It's not about the tool. It's about the skill of, well, it's not the scalpel, it's the skill of the surgeon. Or if you, like me, you were anticipating this sequel to Top Gun. It's not the plane, it's the pilot, and it really is. So let's keep going. From Exton Guy, the law about trusts are often unforgiving. It's the precise words on paper that matter, not what you might have in mind. It's difficult to understand what's going to happen in situations that you don't explicitly address in the trust document. What if a trustee dies or becomes incapacitated, or simply moves to a different state? Or if a fight breaks out between the trustee and the beneficiaries? Did you include the trustee's power to sell property? Could the trustee invest in a company that he owns, et cetera, for dozens of things to consider? Again, even when I was a new attorney, starting out my practice from fresh, put together the best templates and documents, I had all of those cases from law school to see, okay, this could be a problem. This language could be a problem. Let me adjust this. So even when I first started out and there's like, okay, here's the attorney template types documents to start from, there was a lot of stuff that I initially put in. And now I'm more than 26 years in. I've got those documents exactly where I want them. Plus I've got, there's also a national solution that's definitely incredible from the estate planning source that we sometimes end up using. And I do get a lot of clients who move in from North Carolina, from other states, and the documents are great, but it's still just a tool. The attorney needs to know what to do and how to do it. Another post from Legally Tyler Thompson. I make my money on self-help wills and trusts, specifically cleaning up problems caused by them, billing multiple hundreds of dollars an hour for the pleasure. I'm not sure what else to say. Engage in self-help at your peril. That said, unless your situation is highly complex, $10,000 is absurd. Even $5,000 is a ripoff in my market, but more reasonable in some places. That's, quote, just pricing. The whole issue is, why shouldn't I just do it myself using a website? So we've already got a couple of attorneys here responding that, look, it just doesn't work. And this is a dirty little secret from the industry. A lot of these websites that set up the do-it-yourself stuff, they make a ton of money advertising on the site for hero lawyers who can clean up the mess later. They're making a lot of money on selling the, quote, advertising space or to be on the list on their website. So if someone goes to this specific website, they screw up the document, and now there's a contest. Well, let's go back to the website and see what did they do wrong? Oh, they didn't do anything wrong. Oh, here's an attorney to clean up the mess. Well, okay, let's go ahead and call them. So yeah, there's a lot of attorneys making a lot of money when the self-help, the do-it-yourself stuff just kind of goes and blows up. And the person who put it together, well, they're dead at that point. Me too. I hate doing them, but probating do-it-yourself cases are very lucrative. And yes, $10,000 is absurd unless OP situation is complicated. $5,000 is high for my office, but not for my area of LA. So here's the original poster. Thanks, everyone. But again, it's the same argument I hear over and over again. You make money from people screwing up. That's great. But no one ever answers the question. 1, are the trusts you create fundamentally different from client to client? 2, why is a cookie cutter approach bad to use? It's the tool. The documents are a tool. You can't just start with a tool and go, all right, I know what to do with it. And this is the concept that the poster is just not getting. It's just not sinking in. Again, this is for a basic case, nothing complex. He has no idea. No idea whether it's basic or not. Also, I should add that personally, I don't think estate lawyers are bad people or ripping people off. Their time is expense, and I get that. I guess they meant to say expensive. I think, honestly, they just don't want to admit that their job, again, for a basic, simple trust, can now be replaced by much easier, faster, cheaper solutions. Yeah, you can buy tools online. That doesn't mean you mystically and magically know, because these tools are somehow standardized, or at least the first piece of it's standardized. It doesn't mean you know how to use the tools. Part of the issue is the premise of your questions. You say you are a basic case. So did most of my screw-up cases. You're not just paying for a document with a lawyer, but for counsel. 90% of my trusts have texts that overlap since it's the same general recitations, but the analysis that leads us there does not. Today I had someone come in looking for, quote, a basic trust. Great, except she actually needed a much more complex solution, but never would have realized. Her heirs would have, though, and cursed her for the error. Again, use self-help at your peril. I make more money from self-help cases than I do from ordinary estate planning. So I will let that speak for itself as far as being replaced by, quote, cheaper options. And now we're getting back to the twisted logic of this original poster who's just, oh, I can do it myself and you have no idea what you're doing. You're just losing money on the plan. No. This is something that's going to have very serious consequences if you screw it up. Again, these are the same old arguments, and let me tell you why they aren't exactly grounded in logic. Okay. 1, of course you make most of your money on screwed up cases, because for the cases that aren't screwed up, those folks would never hire a lawyer. By the very nature of your job, you only see the worst stuff. In other words, let's say 99.99999% of all online trust wills never have a problem. You would never know, because in your world you see the 0.0001% of cases where there is a problem. So that's 100% of your world. He's living in a fantasy world. That's not the stats. In terms of someone looking to do a basic trust and you figuring out that they need something more complex, okay, that makes sense. I've chatted with 4 different estate lawyers to get pricing, though none of them said I needed something more complex. Also, just because someone today needs something more complex, is that 99% of your conversations? What if this year 99% of the people just needed something basic, and just randomly today I write you on the day someone needed something more complex? Okay, this is the looking for this way out there exception and saying, well, that's the rule. And no, it's not. Look, this is not something you want to do on your own, because it does get screwed up, and not 0.0001% of the time. It's a lot of the time. All right, before I move on, I'm actually going to go over something that happened, and this is probably at least 15 years ago. But I had a husband and wife, both of them very smart, very educated people. Both of them were PhDs, and they said, here's a will that another attorney did for us. Can you go through and, tell us what you think of what they did? And so I went through it, and it was pretty apparent right up front that an attorney did not do this. They each had their own will. They did not have each other as executors for the other's will. So I pointed out, oh, so you're not going to be executors for each other's will. If something happens to one of you, the other isn't in charge, it's somebody else. Oh, no, that's not what we meant. All right. And then I went a little bit further and I'm like, okay, you also disinherited each other. You're leaving everything directly to the kids. Wait, what? No, that's not what we wanted. Okay. And they get everything at age 18. Oh, that's way too young. That's not what we wanted. And then I got to the last page. I'm like, oh, well, they had signed their wills. They had witnessed each other's wills, which I don't know if there's any state that allows spouses to be the quote witness on a will. It's just not, you're too closely related and you have a vested interest. You're not an independent witness. It doesn't count. And the second signature spot was blank and it wasn't notarized. And I said, well, don't worry about it. This isn't a valid will anyway. They actually had the nerve to say, well, I suppose our intent doesn't matter. It's like, well, this isn't what you intended, is it? None of it is. You disinherited each other. You didn't want each other to be executors. The kids get everything at 18 and that's not what you wanted. And I said to them, look, this is so screwed up that I need to report this attorney to the state bar. This is hugely malpractice and incompetence. And that's when they admitted, oh, we did it. They are very smart people, very nice people, became clients. They are smart and intelligent and experienced in what they do. And them thinking that, well, because I'm good at what I do, I can do everything just as well. It's just not the case. And that's the case with just about everybody. If it's not your profession and it's something as complex as estate planning, you're not going to be able to do it on your own. Thing is, if they hadn't given that to me as a quote second opinion, then nothing would have been in place. Quote, aren't exactly grounded in logic, politely sod off, or perhaps read up on what a logical argument consists of. So do you. No one is going to convince you of any error in your foregone conclusion. So again, pointing out this delusion that, oh, well, everything's the same. Clearly, this poster wanted to hear the answer, oh, yeah, it's all the same. Yep, you got us. Ha ha. No, absolutely not. Just a quick note here that there's quite a lot of stickiness in timing between when a problem happens and when people all agree it's a problem. In most cases, when you offer a person the opportunity to pay money to solve a problem versus leaving it for another person to take care of after you for twice the cost, the problem will go through quite a lot of digestion track before it hits someone who can't kick the can down the road anymore. I think most attorneys here can tell you some version of a real-life story involving representing a person in their estate planning today who lost their husband 10 plus years ago only to discover the husband's name still on all the property. Point being, it takes years and sometimes even decades for people to even know there's a problem. And by then, it ordinarily costs a whole lot more. Any established attorney is more than happy to wait. That's right. They get paid a lot of money cleaning up these messes. Now, that's not what I like to do in my practice. I like to plan ahead. I like to work with the clients who want to plan ahead. If I had someone like this come into my office and wanted to spend the whole hour and a half arguing with me about why they couldn't do it themselves, I'd kick them out. I just don't want to deal with that stuff, and I don't have clients like that, thankfully. By the time they get to me, they've read my book, Estate Planning Basics. They've given us the questionnaire. They're kind of pointed in the right direction. They want an attorney to help them do this. This person doesn't. And they're trying to go on Reddit to justify the fact that they want to go cheap on this and try to do it themselves. Look, go ahead. Do what you want to do. It's your life. It's your estate plan, but it's not going to end well for the people you supposedly care about. 1, yes. 2, you aren't a cookie. All right, cookie cutter joke there. Another example of not very helpful and semi-passive aggressive response. Yeah. I get it if you don't have the time to respond, that then I would say just don't even reply. I am trying to have a serious, well thought out discussion here that I believe could be informative and very supportive to the overall community. No, you're trying to justify to yourself that you don't want to spend the money to get a real estate plan done. And you want to believe in this fairy tale myth that I can do it myself. It's all the same. I just need to get the document language and it's all going to be fine. No, it's not going to be fine.